Over the years that I've been doing business development, consulting with people all over the country, one of the things that I've asked about consistently and one of the things that I've always heard people say they don't do is deal with client satisfaction. I'll say, hey, I'm curious, how often do you talk to your clients and go out and proactively say, talk to me about the things that I'm doing well and talk to me about the things that I need to be doing differently? In other words, collecting data about how well you're doing with your existing clients. Almost without fail, the people with whom I work say, I don't do that. And I'll say, well, how do you know whether or not things are going well? Well, they'll say, I think they're going well, or I assume that things are going well. They aren't firing me after all. Boy, that's some lousy data. I don't want to build a practice on that. Client satisfaction, client feedback is absolutely critical in the world of client-centric business development. Why? Why is it that you want to be going out and doing this? After all, they might say that they don't like something. They might tell you that they're really mad about something, right? Hey, listen, if that's the case, then you got to hear that too if you want these people to continue to be your clients and if you want them to continue to send other people to you as your next clients. What I'm talking about is talking to the clients so that when things get off track, and listen, we're human beings working with human beings. They are gonna get off track, right? It's just the way things work. When they get off track, we fix them while they're here, not out here. It's much easier for us to be able to make the corrective action when things are just a little bit off base. How do we do that though? Where do you start? What does a client satisfaction conversation look like? Well, it's very simple and it's very straightforward. It really involves just two questions. So first, what is it that you like that I'm doing? Secondly, and notice how I put this, you want to ask them, what do you wish that I would do differently? Notice in essence you're saying, what do you want me to change? Or what don't you like about the way that I'm working with you? But in our culture, if I come to you and I say, hey, I'm curious, what don't you like about me? We're really reticent to talk about that. We're hesitant to say, listen, you know what I really don't like about you? Fill in the blank. We're much more likely to get a response. If we say to someone, I'm curious, what would you like for me to do differently in order to make our work together be more effective and more efficient for you? Now, he's going to give you some suggestions. Again, if he says, well, I can't think of anything, well, then maybe probe a little bit more, can you? And say, well, I'm curious, the way that I respond to your questions when you call, do you like the fact that I send you emails even when you call and leave a message? You can go through things and say, do you like these reports that I send you? Are you, does this work for you? Open-ended questions, asking them about the things that they might like for you to do differently. They are willing to help us improve our services to them in ways that are different than them being willing to tell us or what they don't like or to somehow feel as if they're insulting us. So don't ask, hey, what don't you like about me? Or what don't you like about my partner? Instead, what you want to ask is, how can I do things differently? We have to be willing to ask the question. I would submit to you in every interaction you have with a client. You talk to him on the phone. You say, I'm curious, Ms. Jones, was this helpful? You sit down with them to give them a progress report on how things are going, and you say, I'm curious, did this meet your expectations? You're asking constantly about the particulars of your work with them to see and make certain that what you're doing is what they anticipate and expect. Make certain they're satisfied. Now, you're not asking for this for a little gratuitous compliment. What you're doing is asking for this because you need to know the things that work for them so that you will continue to do those things day in and day out throughout the life of your engagement. And so that they'll know when they're coming back the next time to expect the things that they really enjoy. Secondly, I would strongly suggest every time you sit down with a new client for the first time that you sit down with them and you talk to them about this stuff. Prospectively, you say, I'm curious, Mr. Jones, when you're working with a professional, how would you like this to go? Do you want me to answer every call as it comes or digest them as you have questions? Would you like for me to send you emails in response to your voicemail, or would you like for me to call you back? How do you want this to go? The possibilities are limitless, but what you're trying to do is not talk about what you will do in terms of the engagement, but instead talk about how you will do it with this client. When they leave, you sit down and draft a quick email, and you send that email to them and you say, based upon our conversation, this is my commitment to you and how you and I will be working together during the course of this engagement. This is simply your commitment to the client about how you will work together, and it's a benchmark against which they can objectively measure your client's service. Now, last and most important of all of this, in terms of asking the good questions and building the agreement around new client engagements, is then sit down and schedule regular meetings with your clients when you'll sit with them with one agenda item and only one agenda item. It is, how am I doing? Talk to them about the things that they expected. Is this in fact what's working for them now? Do they want anything to change? Now, what does this do? It makes certain that you'll never have those small things turn into the big ones. You'll never have the small irritants that your client just wishes that you do a little bit differently turn into their reason for terminating the relationship. I'll give you a perfect example. I have a client who recently did this and found out that one of his biggest clients, his most important folks in his business, was really getting irritated by something that he was doing. What was it? They'd leave him a voicemail and he'd send him an email in response. They hated that because what happened was in the 200 emails they were getting every day, his response was getting buried in the mix. If they called him, they wanted a call back. If they emailed him, they wanted an email back. He wasn't even thinking about it. But they certainly were, and by asking what it meant was he was able to fix it and hang on to one of his biggest income sources. So you have those meetings either by phone or in person with the client. You ask them about what's going on. You get that feedback. You tweak your performance accordingly. That client is going to love you, and they are going to talk about you with the people that are in their lives. Listen, keep doing the stuff they like. That's getting you paid. That's growing your practice. And unless you're just crazy, quit doing the stuff that doesn't work. Look, if they're saying to you, you know, I can't stand the fact that you leave me 5-minute-long voicemails, stop leaving them. Listen to your clients and do the things that they say. If you ask them those two simple questions, what do you like about what I'm doing so I'll keep doing it? What do you want me to do differently so I can tweak the things so nothing gets large, they remain small and easily adjusted? If you memorialize the agreement and the conversation that you have with them early in the engagement, and if you have regular meetings to talk to them about how you're working with them, not what you're doing, I promise you that your rate of attrition will go to almost zero. You will not lose clients. And I promise you that those people that you're doing work with today are going to look around at their friends and say, you got to meet this guy. He does these things really differently than the average person with whom I work. I like it. And that's the kind of client-centric business development that truly pays.